Hello. So here's my how to succeed with weight loss when you've really been trying and it's never really worked video. I digress. So when I was first trying to really get on top of things, I was probably about 32, 33 when I said that I really had figured out that this was a real major problem and I needed to fix it pretty quick. Well, I thought back to all of the times before that I had tried to lose weight and I failed. And basically, when I looked at what the doctors ask you to do after you've had weight loss surgery, basically I went, oh, so everything that they've been telling me since I was a kid, and I was born in '82, so I grew up in the '80s and the '90s, and everything was low fat, low fat, low fat, low fat. None of that is true. In fact, a bunch of studies have now shown that since the low-fat craze started, obesity rates have actually gone up, not down. And I found out that the reason that happened and why there was this big low-fat craze was because in the 70s, a bunch of studies were done on cardiovascular health. And a lot of those studies actually showed that sugar, high levels of sugar and processed sugars especially, was responsible for a lot of heart attacks. But it also showed that it was sugar in combination with a lot of saturated animal fats, specifically mammalian sources of animal fats, so pork and beef. But it was always in the presence of sugar and processed sugars at that. Well, the sugar lobbyists all got together and they said, well, here's a whole mess of money, science-y people. What we want you to do is to take all of the blame that should be going towards sugar and place it squarely on the shoulders of fat, saturated fats and cholesterol. So they did. And the main paper that showed that sugar was a huge contributor to obesity and, in consequence of obesity, diabetes and cardiovascular disease, that paper got scrapped, and the scientists responsible were destroyed, ruined. Think of other synonyms for this. Basically, they were trashed in favor of the sugar lobby. So, going back to me, so as a kid, when I was growing up, I bought into it just like my mom did. And I was coming up right when Snackwells came out. Oh, Lord. So, basically what all of the diet foods do is they remove all of the fat that would be in a recipe. And in order to make it taste like something other than cardboard, they add a crap load of sugar. Well, it doesn't work. And sure, it's lower in calories, but that doesn't make a lick of difference. It's the sugar. So, when I was getting ready to get all of my stuff together for the weight loss surgery, I got my sample diet, and it showed they wanted us to do low sugar, but also low saturated fats. And this was specifically for the Roux Y, because not because they think that fats are bad for you, but mainly because an overabundance of animal fats will contribute to dumping as much as sugar can, especially when they're combined together. So like my father-in-law, who's also had gastric bypass surgery, he said that, you know, he can eat fried chicken no problem, but you give him a donut, yeah, not so good. So, let's go over what it is that is actually going to help you, by the way. How gorgeous is it here? So here's my kind of breakdown of what is good and what is going to help you and what's gonna kind of hold you back. For one thing, processed sugars. You gotta remove those from your diet. There's a car. No, I don't mean fruit, by the way. When you have been on a Western and specifically American or British style diet for as long as I have, or I had, you are going to go through sugar withdrawal. And they don't really talk much about sugar withdrawal, as they, like when they're talking about like the Atkins diet or the South Beach diet and all this stuff, and you know, those first 2 weeks where you're supposed to just drop like a crap load of weight. Well, they also don't talk about how intense a lot of the symptoms can be when going through sugar withdrawal. They're going to be really uncomfortable, especially if you go hog wild like Atkins and South Beach ask you to do and cut out all fruit. Don't do that. Cutting out processed sugars, so sucrose and high fructose corn syrup. Those are the things that you really want to get rid of, but keep all fruit, not just berries like Atkins and South Beach tell you. All fruit. Keep it all in your diet, because keeping fruit in your diet is going to reduce the symptoms of sugar withdrawal. So when I was having sugar withdrawal after I had the gastric bypass surgery, beside the main feeling that you get with sugar withdrawal is extreme hunger. Normally, that's the first one that would be part of your symptoms. Well, after gastric bypass surgery, you don't have that. But you have everything else. And I felt hideous after the first 2 weeks of my gastric bypass surgery, and I couldn't figure out what the hell was wrong with me. I had constant migraines. I was sweating profusely. I had some body aches. I had horrific indigestion. And I was irritable to the point of insanity. And what I found out was that what I was experiencing was a form of withdrawal. So when you hear about withdrawal from heroin or cocaine or really any addictive, physically addictive drug, when you're going through sugar withdrawal, it is extremely similar in terms of the sensations that you'll get. So the main way to guard against that is fruit. So what I suggest you do is you cut out all processed sugars. We're going to sit down a little bit. Cut out all processed sugars. And then you need to make fruits and vegetables 60% of everything you eat. So, if you have breakfast, okay? You have your egg. Have, like I really love our tomatoes in the summertime, so I'll just cut a tomato in half. Sprinkle some salt and pepper on it and put it next to my my egg. On occasion, I will sear it in a really hot pan so it kind of caramelizes the cut side of the tomato. Delicious. And then have a little bowl of fruit. And if you want some type of bread, go for, obviously, you know, the whole grain stuff. But have no more than one slice. Don't have 2 slices of bread. You don't need it. Your main thing you need to focus on is fruits and vegetables and your protein. Those are the 2 big things. So I would say 60% of everything you eat be fruits and vegetables. The amount of protein you want to shoot for every day is at least, minimum, 0.75, so 3/4 of a gram per kilo of body weight. So I weigh 63 kilos at the moment. Oh no, wait, I just lost 3 kilos. I weigh 60 kilos. So that's approximately 133, I think? 133, 135, somewhere around there. So I weigh 60 kilos, so 3/4 of a gram. I mean, it's easier just to shoot for 1 because then I don't have to bring out a calculator. So that's 60 grams of protein per day that I want to shoot for. It's not that difficult. An egg, I believe, has 8 grams. Because I think it's 2 eggs is 16 grams of protein. And then you can do, I mean, cheese is great with protein. Chicken breast, although chicken thigh, personally, to me, tastes a heck of a lot better. And definitely fish. So, like, if you are a fan of bagels and lox, that's great. Just do a half of a bagel, but, you know, get your nice smear of cream cheese. Don't go low-fat cream cheese. Who would want that? I don't want that. Ugh. You know, cream cheese. Do like 2 tablespoons, you know, and then pile on your smoked salmon. But definitely include like sliced tomatoes, capers, cucumber, onion. You can put like a little bowl of fruit next to your half of a bagel. If you're gonna drink orange juice, drink the pulpy kind of orange juice. Get a juicer, you know, not like a juicer, but like a, you know, a little orange citrus reamer, and make yourself a little, you know, 4-ounce, 6-ounce glass of orange juice. You do not need a big honkin' glass of orange juice. You really don't. I mean, you may as well just put like 3 tablespoons of sugar in a glass of water and stir it up and drink it. That's pretty much what you'd be getting. And personally, instead of orange juice, eat an orange. That's even better. So that'd be, you know, breakfast. For lunch, this afternoon I had my leftover chicken curry that I make. It's so damn good. I'm gonna make a recipe video of that because that's so good. I did a yellow curry this time, the yellow coconut curry. So I had chicken, and it was chicken legs and thighs, and it was cooked until they just shredded apart. But I cook that separately first, and then I add it to the, you know, the sauce with all the vegetables in it, so the vegetables don't cook to death. Ugh. And the vegetables that I put in, it's literally quadruple the amount of chicken that's in the curry. So for every ounce of chicken that I put in that curry, there's 4 ounces of vegetables. And I use carrots, zucchini, onion, green onion, bell pepper, some of my poblanos that I put in, that I grew in my garden this year. And then I had corn on the cob that I cut into little sections, and I stewed that in the curry sauce. And then I'll add stuff like green beans and peas and sugar snap peas, or what else do I put in there? Oh, I'll do fresh tomato at the very end, so that it's still kind of raw. But you see what I'm talking about? Like, the majority of that dish is vegetables. And then I have a little tiny amount of, I have like a half a cup of rice. For one, I mean, if I eat too much rice, I won't eat anything else because my stomach is so small. And when your stomach is that small, you have to prioritize what nutrients you're taking in, because if you don't, if you eat just what tastes good and don't think about what is going to be fueling your body, then you'll get into a lot of trouble physically. You know, I mean, there are some people I've heard of who've gotten literal scurvy because they just lived on, like, what did they live on? That they were just, I mean, it was like they were living on just plain pasta because they didn't want to take the time to actually cook stuff that was, you know, high in nutrient value. They just, I mean, so just take my word for it, it's not a good idea. So that was my lunch. I had that left over. This evening, we're having, I'm pretty sure we're doing bratwurst this evening, because we live in Germany. you know. So we're gonna grill some bratwurst up. And then I'm doing roasted potatoes with the skins on. Lots of the nutrients that are in potatoes are in the skins, so eat the skins. So we're gonna have that, and then I'm gonna do steamed green beans and a second vegetable, which is my cucumber and tomato salad that I make, which is so good. Oh, especially when you grow your own cucumbers and tomatoes, or you just get them at the farmer's market, or just when they're in season. Oh my god, so good. So you chunk up the cucumbers and the tomatoes into like larger sized pieces, right? And then you toss them together with a rice wine vinegar, like vinaigrette. So I do it's rice wine, olive oil, and then I put fresh garlic, fresh mint, fresh basil, and then Italian like herb mix. So like, you know, Italian seasoning, you know, that kind of thing. Salt, pepper. On occasion, instead of rice wine vinegar, I'll use balsamic vinegar, and then it's a little bit more zhuzhy. So, you know, that's a real good example of how I eat. So it's not anything that's going to be, I don't just eat chicken breast, and I don't eat just cauliflower. I eat food. But the main thing that I've cut out are the sweets. So, like I said before, I was able to eat a whole pint of ice cream and a whole bag of cookies, and I cannot do that anymore. And frankly, I don't want to. Because the thought of going back to where I was so heavy I could barely move, to being able to take a walk like this, and, you know, I'll be sore tomorrow in the morning. I'm always sore because I have chronic pain. But it isn't to the point where my whole life is ruled by how heavy I am. And I mean, if you guys really want like a full-on menu, I can totally do that. You guys, you know, send me a message in the comments section. I will totally put together an actual menu with recipes and everything like that. Because really, when you're removing the sugar from your diet, I really wouldn't worry too much about the type of, like, how much fat that you're taking in. Worry about where it's coming from. So, you know, fish sources, plant-based sources. Oh, and if you are vegan, awesome. You don't even have to worry about, you know, a lot of the animal-based fats. You know, you're good. But you will have to really worry about your protein intake and your B12. You always want to do a B12 supplement because unlike certain individuals say freely, you need B12. And after you've had gastric bypass surgery, especially, you have to supplement with B12. And a specific kind. Normal digestive systems can do cyanocobalamin, no problem. If you're not going to have the gastric bypass surgery, don't don't worry about what type of B12 you get. But if you have the gastric bypass surgery, just like the type of calcium that you have to take, it has to be a very specific kind of B12, and that's the methylcobalamin. And you have to take 5,000 micrograms a day. Which it's not that hard to find. I mean, I get them online, little lozenges. They're $15 for a bottle of 60 of them. So, I mean, that's not terrible. And then your calcium that you have to take calcium citrate. Because again, you won't digest the carbonate type of calcium. And then other supplements that would be really good to take is obviously multivitamin. And I take omega-3 fatty acids in the capsules. I take fish oil. Specifically krill oil. That's good stuff. But if you are vegan, then I would probably do flax seeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds, that kind of thing, in order to get your omega-3s. And now my family's actually been doing 3 days a week, doing vegan meals, just to reduce our carbon footprint, and frankly, because I tend to digest plant-based proteins easier than animal-based ones, with the exception of fish. And chicken. Chicken doesn't hurt me very much. But whenever I eat beef and pork, I'm not feeling too swell. Oh, if you guys haven't had the Beyond Burgers, those are so good. They're really good. And I hate burgers. I'm not a burger person, and I love those things. I think I probably already said this. Anywho, so that's my, little spiely-do for, what it is that you really need to do in terms of, reducing your weight. I am for more of an intuitive eating kind of a thing when it comes to people who are not massively overweight like I was, or like Amber Lynn is. Our intuition got us to, a 42 BMI and up. There's a time when you want to stop listening to your intuition and start listening to a doctor. Well, y'all have a good time and a good night, and I don't know why I'm talking like this now, but that's a big hill. I'm gonna go home, pet my dog, have me some bratwurst and roasted potatoes.